He was born deformed, rejected by his own father, a prince no one wanted, yet destiny had other plans, because this boy, Ashoka, would grow to become one of history's greatest rulers, and one of the few who dared to exchange blood for compassion. But before he became Ashoka the Great, he was Ashoka the Cursed. This is his story. One of Bindusara's 16 wives and 100 children was Ashoka the Great. Ashoka was raw and deformed since his birth, short in stature, thick and lean. As a boy, he was a prince in word, but so ugly that even his emperor father was unwilling to look at him. Even the father, the emperor, removed his son from the list of possible successors, which meant that anyone other than him in the family could become king. Now that the emperor disliked him, so the rest of the power players delisted him from their good books. But there were two characters who were interested in this rejected prince and the grandson of Chandragupta Maurya. One was Chanakya's grandson, Radhagupta, who saw in Ashoka the qualities of a great ruler, and the other was a beauty named Maharani Devi. It is not known why she liked Ashoka, even though she wasn't even a gold digger according to the norm of that time, as Ashoka had a bleak chance to become a ruler. But the love between these two characters lifted Ashoka from the imperial dust and made him such an unforgettable character in history, people today ask who he was to know his greatness. Deformed, the rejected Prince Ashoka was born in Patliputra, present-day Patna, in 322 BCE. His grandfather Chandragupta Maurya defeated the Greeks and established the Maurya Empire in India. This empire extended from eastern Afghanistan to Assam. This also included Nepal. Except for some areas in the south, east, including Orissa, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala, he controlled most of India. Friends, when Ashoka was 9 years old, his grandfather died, and his father Bindusara became the emperor. In the old custom, the new emperor had to nominate his potential successors, for which he used to give some names, including his elder son. Bindusara did the same, but in this line of succession, the likely crown princes, he did not include the name of Ashoka. Because he disliked him very much, he nominated his eldest son, also known as Susima, and nominated some other in his place in case Susima died, to ascend to the throne as his successor. As we have mentioned, the teacher of Chandragupta Maurya, the founder of the Maurya Empire, Chanakya's grandson Radhagupta, saw a ruler in Ashoka. He saw in Ashoka the same qualities of a good emperor that his grandfather Chanakya had seen in Chandragupta Maurya. That is, he had good judgment and a charisma in his personality, which impressed the common people. Radhagupta, seeing all this, became close to Chandragupta's grandson Ashoka and started grooming him in the art of grabbing the power and how to rule. Emperor Bindusara sent Ashoka away from the center by making him the governor of the Avanti province, so that he has no connection to the royal throne. Avanti province was located in the present-day Indian state of Madhya Pradesh and had its capital city at Ujjayini. Seated in Ujjayini, Ashoka began preparations to usurp the throne under the guidance of Radhagupta. A few years later, two important incidents took place in a row, created a possibility for Ashoka. First, the emperor sent his son Susima to crush a rebellion in Taxila, present-day Taxila. Another incident is that shortly after sending his son in 273 BCE, Emperor Bindusara fell seriously ill. Now he also started to feel the mistake that if he passed away, how would the heir to the throne arrive in time from such a distance? And what would happen if he failed? That is, Ashoka could have reached the capital, Pataliputra, before Crown Prince Susima to seize the throne. Interestingly, this occasion was one of adventure. Because the emperor could not get up from the bed, the physicians were convinced that he would not get up at this point. Ministers flew pigeons, set the horses on a run to inform the elder son in Taxila, to rush back, or the throne and the crown will be lost. But at the same time, they also made a mistake that he sent a message to Ashoka at the order of the emperor. The message asked Ashoka to rush to Taxila in place of the crown prince and suppress the rebellion, as Susima has been called, to Pataliputra. Ashoka, very wise, and he discerned from the decree that the emperor was breathing his last, and he will die ascending Susima to the throne. Ashoka played a trick. He feigned illness, probably on the advice of Radhagupta, and refused to go to Takshala, Texla. He also asked his father to temporarily hand him the power since he was near him. He will give the power to Susima when he returns. Now Bindusara was not a child. He saw through this offer and felt deep grief. He knew that the younger son was ready to rebel against his elder and beloved son. It was an unstoppable rebellion. Probably the emperor had become aware of Ashoka's abilities despite his dislike. He clearly felt that the succession of his favorite son was in danger, and the fire of rebellion in his kingdom was also clearly visible to him. It goes that this shock took away his immunity, and he died soon. Now Ashoka's informers in the court were so sharp that they conveyed the news of Emperor Bindusara's death to him before Crown Prince Susima. Ashoka arrived at Pataliputra like a storm and took possession of the city. The city had 64 gates, all of which were closed on his order. Greek mercenaries were posted outside these gates. Meanwhile, Susima also came to know about his father's death and Ashoka's capture of the city. He hastened back to Pataliputra with a few loyal followers and was killed mistaking his enemy. He thought his brother would negotiate with him, welcome him. Now it is that he was welcomed, but with arrows and swords. Only his body was allowed inside the palace, and we have never heard in history that a body has ever successfully negotiated for power. The greatest claimant to the throne was put out of the way. But now there were many more sons of Bindusara. Ashoka had to fight all of them to consolidate his control over the throne. A legend goes that Bindusara had 16 wives, from whom he had 101 sons. Among them, Ashoka and Tassa had the same mother, while the remaining 99 sons were from the other 15 mothers. Tissa showed wisdom and did not compete in the succession battle, but became a help to his brother. While all the other 99 brothers started fighting against these two. Ashoka fought against all of them for about 4 years. The Maurya Empire sank into a terrible civil war. This resulted in the victory of Ashoka and the death of all the brothers. In 269 BCE, the 34-year-old Ashoka claimed the title of sole heir to the Mauryan Empire. Now he was the emperor of the Mauryan Empire. Friends, keep in mind while looking at the biographies of ancient times that they stay in your mind while watching this biography. That is, many details of these stories are based on oral traditions, which may certainly have narrative exaggerations. For the purpose of narration, narrators might have added and subtracted something in the tale. Ashoka may not have 100 brothers. They may be more or less than that number. It is quite possible that not all the brothers were killed. Some escaped, some became loyal. But the story we present to you will be marked by the effort that those details are presented to you, on which the majority of historians agree. He ruled for the first 7 years without any problems. In the historical books written under the influence of Buddhism, Ashoka's reign is divided into 2 parts. The first part is till Ashoka was not converted to Buddhism. This period is called Kaal Ashoka, meaning Black Ashoka, or Chanda Ashoka, meaning Evil Ashoka. The second part is when Ashoka converted to Buddhism. This is called the era of Dharma Ashoka. According to Buddhist historians, Ashoka of Chanda was the cruelest person in the world, an oppressor. It is known that he burned several women alive in the harem because they did not find Ashoka a good-looking person. Ashoka Vedana, an ancient Buddhist history book, claims that Ashoka created an artificial hell. New ways of torturing people who hated him were created in it. On the contrary, according to some historians, the Kaal Ashoka era can also be called a good era. Evidence is given that even when he was not a Buddhist, food was distributed to the poor from his royal kitchen. To endorse it, the plaques he got written before he became a Buddhist are presented. According to him, food with a heavy quantity of meat was distributed to the public. Apart from this, there was a royal feast for the public on various festivals. In other words, according to those times, to keep in touch with the masses and to please them, he would do a lot. Historians who support the Kaal Ashoka era say so to prove him a good person. This period began to fade when, due to Ashoka's darling Maharani Devi, his personality began to undergo a series of step-by-step changes. Ashoka was especially fond of this girl, because Maharani Devi had given him a heart despite his ugliness. But his family and the emperor father were against his love for this girl, mainly because she was from a Buddhist family. Ashoka not only fell in love with the girl despite his father's opposition, but married her and later converted to Buddhism himself in the 6th year of his reign. Now Buddha Ashoka, forced by his emotions, had changed his Dharma, faith, but his karma, deeds, did not change. He remained as fond of gambling, alcohol, and sports spectacles as before. What Buddhism forbade, Ashoka practiced it. In Buddhism, hunting was a great evil. Ashoka was fond of hunting. He especially liked the meat of innocent animals like deer and peacock. Also, Ashoka, like a new sentimental convert, showed silliness and immaturity in his actions. He persecuted the followers of Jainism, which was opposed to Buddhism. The Jains were massacred as he considered Jainism a false religion, because there was only one religion in India that challenged the Buddhist ideology, and it was this very Jainism. Legend has it that a Jain painter during the Ashoka period painted a picture showing the Buddha bowing down to Mahavira, the founder of Jainism. According to Buddhism in the Age of Ignorance, this was blasphemy and a serious crime. The Buddhists complained to Ashoka, and he, in fury, killed the image maker. But even blood could not cool the anger of the religious fanatics. Ashoka ordered the mass murder of the Jains. Jainists went into hiding to save their lives, while the government workers would find and kill them. So, after converting to Buddhism, Ashoka remained as violent as he was before conversion. As per the popular oral history, this bloodthirsty and fickle-minded Ashoka went upside down due to a major incident, a war, after Maharani Devi. What was happening? The state of Kalinga was a large part of the kingdom of Orissa and Andhra Pradesh of present-day India. This empire was outside the control of the Ashoka or Maurya Empire and was independent. Ashoka, in the 8th year of his accession to the throne, in 261 BCE, attacked Kalinga to make it part of his empire. An estimate says that this historical war was fought around the hill of Dholagiri, the bank of the river Diahut. This place is located near the present city of Bhubaneswar in Odisha. Ashoka was victorious in this war. The kingdom came under his influence, but the destruction that ensued was terrible. The 14 inscriptions written by Ashoka on stones at Shahbaz Garhi near Mardin, one of them is about the Kalinga War. Ashoka writes on it that during the 8th year of my accession, I conquered Kalinga. 150,000 of the enemy were taken prisoners, 100,000 were killed, and many times more were killed due to the causes of war. That is, they died due to hunger, disease, disability, and orphaned children out of deprivation. It is said that when Ashoka visited the battlefield after the war, he saw Kalinga villages burning, bewailing women and orphaned children running in fear in the muddy waters. Now he wanted to conquer more territories as it became easier for him now. But the situation of the Kalinga battlefield changed it completely. This revolution in his life is called the Kalinga conversion. When he saw miles of mutilated corpses and saw his soldiers slitting the throats of their dying enemies, he became disgusted with bloodshed. Perhaps it also became abominable for him. To redeem, he hid himself in Buddhism. He was lost in Buddhism. From this point, the new era of Dharma Ashoka started. This new Ashoka of Dharma absolutely renounced hunting and reduced meat-eating, subsisting on vegetables and pulses, moving to a second extreme. There is another inscription of Ashoka in Shahbaz Garhi. Earlier, innumerable animals were killed for food in the royal kitchen. Now only 3 animals are slaughtered. They contain 2 peacocks and sometimes a deer. He wrote that in a few days, the slaughter of these 3 animals will also be abolished. This inscription strengthens the impression that, after some time, Ashoka may have become a complete vegetarian. Ashoka also issued a list to reduce the tendency of people to eat meat and cause suffering to animals. In it were written the names of the animals which were strictly forbidden to be killed. Among them were rhinoceroses, bulls, parrots, storks, ducks, pigeons, squirrels, many types of fish, turtles, and many other animals and birds. The height of Dharma Ashoka's benevolence reached to a point that he made it a crime to kill anything from a rhinoceros to insects. He even restricted the burning of straw or fodder, which might contain nests of ants. Yes, it should be remembered that the writings of his books show that he did not completely ban the consumption of meat by the people. He wrote in a book that those goats, sheep, and pigs whose milk has not dried or whose children are young should not be killed. This means that an animal freed from domestic responsibilities can be killed and eaten. These restrictions also indicate that meat eating was common within these regions during the Ashoka period. But when Emperor Ashoka started abstaining from meat, so did the ruling class of the emperor, as the people follow the ruling class. In imitation of him, the common people also adopted it as a sign of high caste. With these public restrictions, Ashoka also bound himself to peace. He said that after the annexation of Kalinga, the beloved king of the gods showed remorse. There is no pride in conquering a country, killing and imprisoning its inhabitants. All these are extremely sad things for the beloved king of the gods. After the Battle of Kalinga, he never fought again. Rather, he said that if someone hurts me, I will be patient. He also started propagating this idea. Ashoka defined religion as, do the least evil, do the most good. Compassion, charity, truth, and purity of heart is Dharma. Ashoka ordered that people of all religions in his kingdom should learn to live together. No one should do mudslinging on the faith of others. He wrote that a person who praises his own dharma and criticizes the religion of others does great harm to his own religion. By respecting the faith of others, you, in fact, add to the respect of your own religion. He also wrote that he respects every sect and nation, but the sect which harmonizes with other sects. In the interest of peaceful coexistence, it is more respectful to him. Today, we can call the Kalinga period the ancient secular period because he believed in a multicultural, independent religious society. Sri Lankan writer Patrick Oliver, in 2024, wrote a book on Ashoka, titled Ashoka, Portrait of a Philosopher King. It means that even today, Ashoka is seen as a philosopher king, because he was giving a practical form to the religious philosopher as a king. He was shaping it into a social and political philosophy. He wrote in A Plague that people perform various rituals in times of trial and turbulence, but these awkward rituals remain resultless. In their stead, we must be practical. Ashoka also advised his future generations to be non-violent. He wrote that a conqueror with a sword is not greatness, but the real conqueror is the one who wins the hearts of the people. This was all contrary to the principles of power and rule set by Chanakya, because a compassionate emperor is historically regarded as weak. Such an emperor becomes a victim even of his own courtiers. So, history tells us that Ashoka, with this changed attitude, got a world that had changed its attitude towards him. Ashoka began as a man of cruelty and ended as a man of conscience. He built an empire with swords and rebuilt humanity with compassion. 2,000 years later, his story still asks us a question: can power and peace ever truly coexist? I'm Masked Woman, and this was the truth behind Ashoka the Great, the deformed